Politics lead Democratic Governor JB Pritzker of Illinois delivered a stark warning to the citizens of Illinois about the perils of authoritarianism in America.
We don't have kings in America, and I don't intend to bend the knee to one. If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. And all I'm saying is that when the 5-alarm fire starts to burn, every good person better be ready to man a post with a bucket of water if you want to stop it from raging out of control. The seed that grew into a dictatorship in Europe a lifetime ago didn't arrive overnight. It started with everyday Germans mad about inflation and looking for someone to blame. I'm watching with a foreboding dread what is happening in our country right now. A president who watches a plane go down in the Potomac and suggests without facts or findings that a diversity hire is responsible for the crash.
And Governor JB Pritzker is with me for his first interview since delivering that address. Governor, a very stark warning that you're delivering there. Obviously invoking the Holocaust, obviously invoking, a horrible, horrible thing that took the lives of ancestors of yours and ancestors of mine is evocative. I would also think it might be controversial. People might think, how can you possibly compare what happened in Germany in World War II to what's going on here in the United States?
Well, we're talking about the death of a constitutional republic. That's what happened in Germany in 1933, 1934. And we're seeing today that you've got an administration in Washington that's ignoring court orders, literally ignoring when a judge says you can't do this. They're going ahead and doing it anyway. The question is, where does that stop? The courts don't have the ability to enforce their orders, and the president is supposed to obey them, but is not. So this is just one piece of a very long story that's developed over the last 6 weeks of the ignorance of constitutional norms and indeed disobeying the Constitution, announcing that we're going to do away with birthright citizenship. That's been established. Well, it's in the Constitution, for goodness sakes. So I really think people need to wake up to what's happening in Washington. And I felt like, based on my own experience, I led the building of a Holocaust museum. I worked with Holocaust survivors for a decade to open that museum. I know what happened day by day almost that led to the Holocaust. And I'm not suggesting that's exactly where we're going, but I know what happened in the early 30s with the death of the German democracy, and that could happen in the United States.
And what do you think would result? I mean, obviously, it is important for us to be upholding norms, and obviously if the president is told by a court you can't do that or whatever, he has the right to appeal it, but he doesn't have the right to ignore it. Where do you think this ends?
Well, that is the question. The question is, will people wake up? Will people show up to protest, to make sure that their representatives understand that they can't go along with this? This is literally the end of the republic as we know it. If we don't stand up to Donald Trump in his, decision to essentially break down the government according to what he wants and according to what he believes is in the best interests of the wealthiest and most powerful people in the country. We need people to get out there and have their views known. And that's really what I was talking about when I spoke up at my State of the State speech.
So today you're pressing the Office of Management and Budget for answers on frozen funds that were allocated to Illinois that you say you're no longer able to access them. What exactly is frozen here, and how is it impacting Illinois?
Well, it goes across a whole bunch of agencies. This is what's happened ever since that one day, as you recall, that Tuesday, when everything got frozen.
And when they froze the grants, right? Yeah.
But I mean, it's across the board in agencies that people don't even think of sometimes. And what's happened is some of them haven't been unfrozen, even though they announced that, oh no, they're rescinding that order. We had a situation in Illinois where the meat processing and poultry processing industry couldn't get inspectors because they're not getting paid. And so that's a huge industry in my state.
Sure.
So people lose their jobs. The supply chain for that food gets broken, and we all have experienced that. Prices go up as a result of that. And then, there's the danger of contamination in the food if you don't have those inspectors. These are the kinds of things that, people like Elon Musk don't understand. And frankly, it doesn't seem to affect them. I'm sure he's probably got a taster for his food. The fact is that he doesn't care about any of these things that affect average Americans every single day. We've got to speak out about this. The biggest thing that we're seeing is that in agency after agency, there's some piece of it that either, it's either because they're incompetent or cruel. They're just turning things off, and we have no control over it at the state level. And so we're making sure that the author of the Project 2025 plan, who is now the head of the OMB, knows what we have lost. $1.8 billion has not been paid to organizations in Illinois that people rely upon sometimes for everyday things. And this is happening in all 50 states, I guarantee. We just happen to have added it all up.
So what do you say? The answer from Elon Musk would be, there's a lot of fraud, there's a lot of waste, there's a lot of abuse, there are people being paid who aren't even showing up to work. We're getting rid of the fat, we're getting rid of low performance employees. What's your problem with that?
Look, we're all in favor of getting waste, fraud, and abuse out of the budget, right? And not paying for waste, fraud, and abuse. But this isn't how you do it. Shutting down programs entirely is not how you do it. In fact, it's very hard to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. You got to work on it every single day, and it's in the details. It's not in programs where you just shut them down and, hey, I got rid of a bunch of waste. The greatest example of this is, of course, that they want to shut down Medicaid, the expansion of Medicaid. 700,000 people in my state depend upon that, right? Something they've been depending upon for many years. All of a sudden, 700,000 people may lose their health care. Now, they're saying, oh, well, there's waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicaid. Well, that's not how you get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. You don't take away people's health care. You work on it every day, and it's in the details. It's in the kinds of things that get spent in the agencies, in the departments, within the offices, within a department. It isn't like shut the whole thing down and, hey, we've done away with. There's no line in a budget, by the way, that says waste, fraud, and abuse. Let's cross that out.
Right. All right. Governor JB Pritzker, Democrat of Illinois, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.